President Biden has said he plans to speak with China's Xi Jinping by the end of the month. Yahoo Finance contributor Kevin Cirilli joined us now to talk about that and what else you should be watching in D.C. this week. Kevin, they had a brief chat on Friday when Xi called Biden to wish him well after his COVID diagnosis, but that wasn't sort of the big convo that we're looking for.
No, not the big conversation, but U.S. and China relations on full display this week, Julie, especially as President Biden and Xi Jinping are anticipated to talk. It comes, mind you, as Taiwan has had scheduled military exercises as well. And in addition to that, here in Washington, D.C., the Senate is expected later today on Monday to take a procedural vote on that CHIPS legislation, which, of course, the Republicans and Democrats say will help for the United States to be more competitive against China as it relates to the semiconductor chip space. Now, I'm anticipating that could reach a vote in the House of Representatives next week. But it's interesting, as Speaker Pelosi says she wants to visit Taiwan, which, of course, China says they don't like. Now, all of this comes during the final scramble, so to speak, for this $52 billion CHIPS bill. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo spoke on CBS Face the Nation over the weekend on the Sunday show, and she said, responding to progressive criticism from Bernie Sanders, it isn't a blank check. There are many strings attached. Strings attached companies can't use this money to build facilities in other countries. Companies who accept this money can't then turn around and be building facilities in China for leading edge technology. To say it is a blank check is just dead wrong. Now, they feel they have the momentum on this. The administration does, as well as a host of Republicans, including former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
Kevin, you're also keeping an eye on the Fed meeting this week, as we all are, and waiting to see what the FOMC has to say. What particularly are you keeping an eye on from the D.C. perspective as well?
Well, let's combine it with the politics ahead of the midterm elections. In addition to that meeting, we're also going to get GDP data. Now, should the economy have shrunk in the second quarter for GDP, look no doubt for there to be talk of a recession heading into the midterm elections, and look for Republicans to pounce on that and criticizing the administration for the direction of the economy. Now, Secretary Raimondo was asked whether or not she thinks the economy is headed into a recession, and she says that she feels inflation has reached its peak. So a lot of economic data that will have political ramifications heading into the final sprint towards the midterms.
And against this backdrop, Kevin, former President Donald Trump is also expected to make his return to Washington.
Yes, I was speaking to sources close to former President Trump just over the last couple of days about what we can expect from Trump's return to Washington on Tuesday, where he will be speaking at an American First think tank that is a conservative think tank that is trying to essentially take the legacy of the policy, they're saying, from his administration and to move it forward. This is the first time that he will be delivering a speech since January 6th. It comes as he has been pummeled in polls amongst independents. Take a look at this PBS News Marist poll that came out last week about the effect that the January 6th hearing has had on independent voters. 50% of Americans, including 86% of Democrats, 52% of independents, and 12% of Republicans, consider the events of January 6th to be an insurrection and a threat to democracy. Now, the sources I talk with who are close to Trump's political operation say that they feel that the hearings have had no effect on the former president's future political calculations. That said, I spoke with one well-placed GOP fundraiser last week who said amongst independents who typically lean more fiscally conservative, this has been an absolute hindrance to Trump's potential political future and has provided an opening for Republican opponents.
All right, we'll see what that means for the midterm elections as well coming up. Kevin, thanks so much for breaking all of this down. Kevin Cirilli joining us here this morning.